Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m. feeling anxious and unable to fall back asleep? You lie there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering, why am I awake at this hour? It's uncomfortable, isn't it? You don't understand why your body is doing this and wonder if it's a sign of something you haven't yet recognized. Do you feel lonely and anxious when you can't fall back asleep, as if your body is slowly changing beyond your control? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people your age experience this, waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to fall back asleep. And while you may think it's just aging, could it be that your body is trying to tell you something you don't fully understand? These changes may not be random. In fact, they can be a warning, a sign that your body is going through changes you never thought possible. Don't worry, you don't have to suffer through this alone. In this video, we'll explain the real science behind these sudden awakenings. Changes in hormones, sleep habits, and even emotions can affect your sleep more than you think. Understanding these reasons will help you feel more secure and not worry about what's going on with your body. Stay tuned until the end, because you'll find the understanding and peace you've been looking for. The first reason your body produces less melatonin now than it used to. One of the most common and overlooked reasons why seniors tend to wake up around 3 a.m. is a natural decrease in melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. Melatonin plays a key role in regulating your sleep-wake cycle, often called your internal body clock. When you were younger, your body likely produced plenty of melatonin in the evening, helping you fall asleep and stay asleep through the night. But as you age, melatonin production gradually declines, and that change can quietly affect how deeply and how long you sleep. You may still fall asleep easily at night, especially after a calm day or warm bath, but in the early morning hours around 2 or 3 a.m., your melatonin levels may dip too low to keep you resting soundly. Your brain begins to shift back toward wakefulness, not because something is wrong, but because the chemical support for sleep just isn't as strong as it once was. This isn't a failure on your part. It's not a flaw. It's simply your body adapting with time. And while it might be frustrating to wake up in the middle of the night for no obvious reason, understanding why it happens can bring a sense of peace and even compassion for what your body is going through. What's more, the environment around you might be making it harder to stay asleep. As we get older, our sensitivity to light increases, and even a small glow, a street lamp outside your window, the light from a digital clock, or a hallway nightlight can suppress what little melatonin your body is still producing. Consider someone like Henry, who's now 75 and has always considered himself a good sleeper. Lately, though, he's been waking up around 3:15 a.m. Not anxious, not upset, just wide awake, as if it's time to start the day. At first, he blamed himself. Then he learned about melatonin and how it naturally declines with age. He stopped blaming his mind and started adjusting his habits. He keeps his room darker, avoids screens before bed, and takes a gentle evening walk to help signal to his brain that it's time to rest. These small changes don't fix the problem completely, but they've helped him work with his body rather than against it. And that's the power of understanding. When you know your sleep is changing for a reason, you can respond with care instead of frustration. Waking up at 3 a.m. isn't always a problem to solve. It can also be a quiet reminder to support your body in the ways it now needs most. Reason number 2, your internal clock may be shifting earlier than it used to. Another powerful reason many seniors find themselves waking up around 3 a.m. is something called advanced sleep phase, a natural shift in your body's circadian rhythm that tends to occur with age. Your internal clock, the one that used to keep you up until 11 p.m. or midnight in your younger years, may now be winding down earlier and waking you up sooner whether you wanted to or not. This isn't about having poor sleep habits or needing less sleep than you did before. It's simply a biological change that happens gradually over time. You may notice yourself feeling sleepy by 8:30 or 9 in the evening, dozing off during a late-night TV show, or waking up at dawn even on days when you have nowhere to be. It's not that you didn't sleep, it's that your body thinks the night is over. According to the National Institute on Aging, many seniors begin to shift their sleep window earlier by as much as 1 to 2 hours as they move into their 60s and 70s. That means if you're asleep by 9 p.m., your body may naturally be ready to wake around 3 or 4 a.m. This shift isn't dangerous, but it can be disruptive if your lifestyle or household doesn't match your new rhythm. Imagine someone like Margaret, a 67-year-old retired librarian. After decades of staying up late reading and waking early for work, she found herself drifting off before 9 p.m. and waking consistently at 3 a.m., feeling strangely alert. At first, she worried something was wrong with her sleep. But after reading more about advanced sleep phase, she realized her body was simply adjusting to a new internal schedule. With a few gentle changes, such as eating dinner a little later, taking a short walk after sunset, and using brighter lights in the evening, she gradually pushed her bedtime closer to 10 p.m., which helped her wake closer to 5 or 6 a.m. The difference wasn't just in the number of hours she slept, it was in how aligned she felt with her daily life. When you understand that your sleep schedule may be moving forward naturally with age, it helps remove the guilt or confusion that often comes with waking too early. Instead of lying in bed wondering what's wrong, you can begin to gently guide your body back into a rhythm that feels better for you, one that honors both your biology and your lifestyle. Reason number 3. Physical discomfort or health-related issues may be quietly waking you up. Sometimes, the reason you're waking up around 3 a.m. isn't about hormones or sleep cycles. It's about your body trying to get your attention. As we age, physical discomfort and subtle health concerns become more common, and they often make their presence known during the quietest hours of the night. You might not be in pain exactly, but a stiff hip, an achy shoulder, or a full bladder can be enough to stir you from deep sleep. Conditions like arthritis, back problems, or acid reflux often become more disruptive when you're lying still for hours. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, nearly 50% of adults over 65 report some form of chronic pain, and many of them say it interferes with their sleep at least a few nights a week. Even medications you take for blood pressure, diabetes, or joint pain can affect how your body rests and reacts overnight. Just ask Leonard, a 75-year-old former truck driver who began waking up at 3 a.m. every night, not because of a bad dream or noise, but because of a dull ache in his knees and an urgent need to use the bathroom. At first, he thought it was just part of aging, something to tolerate. But when he spoke with his doctor, they realized his evening dose of diuretics was increasing his nighttime urination, and the lack of movement during sleep was stiffening his joints. With a few simple adjustments, moving his medication to the morning, using a heating pad before bed, and gently stretching before sleep, he noticed fewer disruptions and an easier time falling back asleep when he did wake. The point is, your body isn't betraying you, it's communicating. These early wake-ups may be quiet messages asking for a bit more care, attention, or adjustment. Rather than ignoring them, try listening with curiosity and kindness. Sometimes the key to deeper rest isn't about sleeping longer, it's about creating more comfort and ease within the sleep you already have. Reason number 4, everyday habits may be quietly shifting your sleep schedule. One of the most overlooked reasons seniors wake up at 3 a.m. is the gradual effect of daily routines, small changes in lifestyle that over time reshape your internal clock. After retirement or a major life change, your days may become quieter, your meals might be earlier, and your evenings more relaxed. While that calm can be a gift, it can also signal to your body that it's time to wind down sooner than before, leading you to fall asleep earlier often without realizing it. And when sleep begins earlier, waking up in the early morning hours becomes almost inevitable. According to a survey from the Sleep Foundation, over 60% of adults over 65 report going to bed before 10 p.m., with many asleep by 9. If you're turning in that early, your body may have already completed its natural cycle of rest by 3 or 4 a.m. Take someone like Joyce, a 70-year-old retired school teacher who found herself waking up in the dark before even the birds started singing. She had slipped into a pattern of eating dinner at 5 p.m., watching TV for an hour or two, and falling asleep in her recliner before 8:30. By the time she got into bed, she was already halfway through her night's rest. At first, she thought something was wrong with her sleep, but once she noticed the pattern, she began to adjust. Joyce started taking a short walk after dinner, reading with brighter light in the evening, and enjoying a small protein-rich snack closer to bedtime. These subtle shifts helped delay her natural sleep window just enough to push her wake-up time into the early morning hours rather than the middle of the night. What many people don't realize is that our bodies crave rhythm, and when our daily cues become too soft or too early, our internal clock starts to drift. But that drift isn't permanent. With a few gentle changes, you can help guide your body back into a rhythm that better matches the life you want to live. The key is to be intentional with your routine, because even small habits, when repeated daily, can quietly reshape the way you sleep. Reason number 5, your mind may be processing emotions that surface in the stillness. Sometimes waking up at 3 a.m. has less to do with your body and more to do with what's quietly stirring in your heart and mind. As we get older, the pace of life often slows down, and with that stillness comes more space for reflection, memories, unresolved thoughts, and emotions that we may not have had time to sit with during our busier years. In the quiet of the night, when the house is dark and distractions are few, those thoughts can rise to the surface, not as panic or fear, but as gentle restlessness, like your mind trying to make sense of the past or check in with the present. According to a study published in Sleep Health, nearly 40% of seniors experience nocturnal awakenings tied to emotional factors such as grief, loneliness, or anxiety. These feelings don't always show up loudly. They might come as a subtle ache, a quiet memory, or a question you didn't realize you were still carrying. Take Helen, a 78-year-old widow living in Oregon. She started walking around 3 a.m., not in pain or discomfort, but with her thoughts drifting back to conversations with her late husband, or wondering how her grandchildren were doing. At first, she tried to push those thoughts away, thinking they were keeping her from sleeping, but over time, she began to see these moments as invitations, opportunities to acknowledge what was still meaningful to her. She started keeping a small journal by her bed where she'd jot down a few simple thoughts or memories when she woke. She also added a soft bedtime routine, lighting a candle, listening to calming music, and writing a short note to someone she cared about. Those quiet practices gave her emotions a place to settle, and her sleep gradually became more peaceful. The truth is, your mind doesn't always follow a strict schedule. It remembers, it reflects, and sometimes it speaks up at 3 a.m. when the world is quiet enough to hear it. Rather than seeing these wake-ups as something to fix, try seeing them as something to understand. You've lived through joy, loss, change, and growth, and your inner world may simply be asking for a little space to breathe. With patience, compassion, and small acts of emotional care, you may find that even the early hours of the morning can become a time of quiet healing and deeper connection with yourself. So, as we wrap up this conversation, take a quiet moment to think about what you've just heard. Which part spoke to you the most? Was it the gentle shift in your body's chemistry, the way your daily routine has changed over time? Or perhaps something deeper, an emotional rhythm that only rises when the world is still? Each of these 5 reasons tells us something important, not just about sleep, but about the ways we continue to grow, adjust, and respond as we age. Waking up at 3 a.m. doesn't mean something is wrong. It means something is alive and working. Your body is still communicating, your mind is still processing, and your spirit is still evolving. And the more you understand these signals, the more you can care for yourself in a way that feels kind, respectful, and true to who you are now. Maybe the next time you find yourself awake in those early hours, instead of feeling frustrated or confused, you'll pause and ask, what is my body trying to tell me? What does this moment need? Because sometimes better sleep isn't just about staying asleep, it's about listening more deeply, honoring your rhythm, and giving yourself permission to rest in new ways. You are not alone in this experience, and you are certainly not broken. You're simply in a new chapter, one that invites more awareness, more compassion, and more gentle care. Thank you for spending this time with us today. If something in this message resonated with you, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. Your thoughts matter, and your voice can help others feel seen and understood. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more content that's made with your journey in mind.